This is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. We have today at WZRD Dr. Narendar Rao, a professor at the College of Business and Management at Northeastern Illinois University. Welcome, Dr. Rao. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I'm a professor of finance in the College of Business and Management, and I have been actively involved with international initiatives at Northeastern. And so I have a passion for international activities, I think.
How did you decide to implement a study tour? Because we recently had a Colombia study tour. Could you describe what that is first?
Sure. I'm the faculty advisor for the International Business Conference at Northeastern Illinois University. And one of the objectives of this International Business Conference is to make students aware about business opportunities in different parts of the world. And for this year's conference, we decided to put more emphasis on emerging markets. And we chose Colombia for the study tour because Colombia is one of the fastest growing economies in South America. It has a very business-friendly environment. It is very pro-US. And we felt that choosing Colombia for the study tour would be a perfect fit, especially given the fact that we are a Hispanic serving institution.
So how did you implement the tour? Give a little description.
Well, basically, I had to first write a proposal, and I submitted the proposal to the Office of International Programs with a request for funding. I also approached the Dean of the College of Business and Management, Dr. Michael Bedell, for financial support. And once the tour was approved, then I started working with a travel consultant in designing this program. The idea was to not only expose students to the business opportunities in Colombia, but also expose them to the culture and heritage of this beautiful country, because it is my view that culture and heritage have a lot to do with business opportunities.
How long did it take you to write the proposal, approximately?
Well, writing the proposal was fairly quick, but I started working on this program since May of last year. So it's taken me almost a year to put everything together.
What was the most difficult aspect of implementing the tour?
Well, the most difficult aspect was that, in this country, we are used to planning things well in advance, but that is not the same in some other parts of the world. So in Colombia, things happen at the last minute, I realized, and therefore the agenda for the university visits got finalized just before our departure. So the uncertainty of not being able to finalize the agenda before the trip, well before the trip, was perhaps the most challenging aspect. And the other, of course, was trying to make this a good value proposition for the students and trying to keep the cost down, negotiating with the travel consultant, and trying to provide the students an enriching and enjoyable educational experience.
How many travel consultants did you have to approach before finding the right one?
Well, I just approached one travel consultant whom I know, who has assisted me with study tours for NEIU in the past. So I was happy working with that travel consultant, and so I didn't approach anyone else.
But this was the first study tour that you implemented, right? Or did you implement others before?
Well, I have done several study tours for Northeastern. I've taken students to Spain, Italy, France, India, Australia, Fiji, Peru. I've done quite a few for Northeastern.
Oh, nice. Were you interested in creating partnerships with Northeastern Illinois University too, between the universities that we visited?
Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, we visited 4 universities in Colombia, 1 in the city of Bogota and 3 in the city of Barranquilla. And out of these 4 universities, we currently have a formal partnership only with 1 university. And so I wanted to explore the possibility of establishing partnerships with other universities that we visited.
Which university do we already have a partnership?
It is called the University of the North, or Uni Norte, which is located in the city of Barranquilla in Colombia.
Any progress on new partnerships on the other three?
Yes, I had a follow-up email communication with another university called Uni Minito in Bogota, and I'm in the process of setting up a video conference call with the university administration. It'll happen probably on the 11th of April. So we are going to discuss about possibilities for furthering the relationship between our respective institutions. And I'm also reaching out to the other universities that we visited to explore how we can establish a mutually beneficial relationship.
What is involved in a partnership?
Well, basically, the partnership can take different forms. In the traditional partnerships, the students from that institution could come to Northeastern, take some courses. They don't pay any tuition to Northeastern, they pay to their home institution. And when a student from Northeastern goes to that institution, they don't pay anything tuition to that institution, they pay to the home institution. This is the traditional partnerships. But right now we are thinking about other creative partnerships which will be a good source of revenue also for Northeastern.
Could you describe how so?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we have just concluded a partnership agreement with a world-class private business school in India. This is for the MBA program, and a carefully selected group of students would complete 1 year of the MBA program in the city of Mumbai in Western India. Then they would travel to Northeastern and complete the second year of their MBA, and they would get an MBA degree from Northeastern Illinois University.
And what about Northeastern Illinois universities? Would they go to Mumbai to complete some of their MBA as well?
They could do that, but then right now the plan is to have students from there come and complete their degree here. And as part of this agreement, there will also be opportunities for faculty exchange. So our Northeastern faculty might be invited to travel to India and teach a course there, and we might have some faculty from that institution to come and teach a course here. This institution in Mumbai, India is a world-class private business school.
Could you give us the name of the institution?
Yeah, it is called IFEEL. It stands for Institute for Future Education and Entrepreneurial Leadership.
Do you have any faculty in mind? Are they business faculty, or do you have any plans to extend faculty exchanges to the rest of the university?
That's an excellent question. Right now with this school, since it is just a business school, the relationship will be primarily between the College of Business and Management at Northeastern and this school. But I'm also working on another partnership with full-fledged university in the city of Chennai in southern India. And this is a full-fledged university. So with regard to that partnership, we might not only be able to do a dual country MBA program, but we might be able to involve other colleges in at Northeastern and link them up with their counterparts in India.
That's wonderful. Maybe we could have another interview about that
Sure.
in the future. How did you plan which universities to visit in Colombia?
Well, the starting point was to first identify schools with whom we have partnerships. So I identified two schools. One was in the city of Bogota and one was in the city of Barranquilla. But we didn't really get a response from our partner in Bogota despite several attempts. So then I started looking at alternative institutions both in Bogota and Barranquilla. So that's how I came up with a list of 4 universities that we eventually ended up visiting.
Did you get recommendations about which universities that you chose?
Yes, I was referred to 2 of the institutions by Dr. Chris Toffolo, who is the interim director of international programs. And for the other 2 institutions, it was my own initiative.
Do you have any new contacts as a result of the study tour from the universities or in the other the innovation centers or other places that the students and you visited?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I've established several contacts, and I had detailed discussions with the administration in the institutions that we visited. So I see a lot of potential in furthering the relationship between Northeastern and these institutions. And also, when I was there, I mentioned to the administration at these institutions about the incubator that the College of Business has established. And so there might be some opportunities to explore mutually beneficial initiatives involving our incubator, and also perhaps bring some of the faculty from these institutions as guest speakers for our next International Business Conference.
For the incubator, are you envisioning for students abroad in Colombia and the students at Northeastern to collaborate on some business venture?
Well, I think there are several possibilities. One is the Northeastern students could use the incubator that we currently have as a platform, but try to identify business opportunities in Colombia and try to make a success of their business idea. And perhaps we could have the institution there replicate our model, so we could have an incubator in that institution, and then students from that institution can identify business opportunities here in Chicago and use those ideas at their incubator center.
What is your most memorable experience while you were in Colombia? Or you could tell us a couple of them, if you like.
Well, I had several memorable experiences, but one of the things which has remained fresh in my mind is when we visited two universities, one called Uni Minito in Bogota, and one called University of Cartagena in Cartagena. The mission of these two institutions is very similar to the mission of Northeastern, and many of the students in these institutions are first generation college going students, and the interest that they showed in learning more about Northeastern, learning about Chicago, left a very deep impression, and they were extremely hospitable. And then also another memorable experience was to gain exposure to the rich culture and heritage of Colombia. So it has left a very deep impact on me, and I look forward to my next visit to this beautiful country.
Did you get interviewed by some students at the University of Cartagena?
Yes, I did. I was interviewed by a student for their local university TV channel.
Any follow-up about whether they broadcast the segment?
Not yet. I haven't heard anything yet, but I'm sure they'll inform me when they do broadcast it.
What are some of the ideas about what students could learn from a study tour, just to enlighten students that do not know anything about study tours?
Well, first thing is, when you go on a study tour, you should go with an open mind. I think you should leave your US mindset behind and try to immerse yourself in the culture of that country that you're visiting. Because like if you take the concept of time in the United States is quite different from the concept of time in many countries. So when we are in a different country, we should not judge the people in that country by our own standards. We have to adapt to the local environment and try to learn as much as possible, and so that will be an enriching experience for us. And then the other advice I have is, when a study tour program is put together, there is a great deal of effort involved by the faculty advisor in planning this. So it is very important for students not to miss any of the activities that are part of the tour, because if they do miss even one day of activity, they have really lost out on something. So that is what, so try to maximize the experience, try to learn as much as you can, and try to establish connections, friendships, and then the more you see of the world, you broader becomes your vision, and you will get new ideas, and this might lead to some exciting career opportunities also.
This sounds a little bit like when professors teach the students about learning culture, immersing culture in order to maximize a business opportunity.
Yes, because as I said before, my view is that culture and heritage have a lot to do with business opportunities. So that is the reason why on this Colombia study tour, I blended exposure to culture and heritage with visits to universities, visits to a business promotion center, and visit to a business. So it has to be a good blend of activities. So you cannot look at business activities in isolation. You need to blend it with the culture and heritage of the country. And then you will have a better appreciation for what that country has to offer to you.
When you were in your advisory role for the tour, did you have to resort to any plan Bs, and did you plan Bs as you put together the whole plan?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I had to do that because I had to keep tweaking the program almost till like the day before we departed from Chicago, because one of the business visits got cancelled just like 48 hours before departure. So I had to schedule a visit to a business promotion center in its place. And so I had to make changes to the program, on the spur of the moment, because, but then eventually everything worked out, and I'm sure the students, felt that they had an enriching and enjoyable educational experience.
Was there anything about this tour that was very different from the other tours that you took students?
Well, the thing is, one of the challenges I had to face was we are right now, in a resource constrained period. So trying to find the resources to subsidize the cost of student travel was a challenge, and also to try to negotiate with the travel consultant to make this as affordable as possible was another challenge. So I had to balance the experience on one side and the cost aspect on the other side, and then make sure that we get the best possible package, best possible program at the lowest possible cost.
Did you feel that you got your money's worth, the value?
Absolutely. I think everything went well, and so I think it was a great value proposition for the students. And I would like to thank the Dean of the College of Business and Management and the Office of International Programs for the financial support they extended, which made this trip possible.
Could you describe a little bit about how much of the cost was defrayed, so that some of the students that might be interested in study tours in the future could have some idea?
Well, the subsidy that is given by the university would obviously vary from study tour to study tour. But for this study tour, I would say the subsidy was almost 1/3 of the total cost. In fact, it was slightly more than 1/3 of the total cost.
What is your advice for faculty who want to implement a study tour?
The first advice I have is start planning early, because it takes a long time to put this kind of a program together, and then make a checklist of all the things you wish to accomplish on this study tour that you're about, and then make sure that you put in the proposal well before the deadline to the Office of International Programs. And while that proposal is being processed, go ahead and start working on the program. And my suggestion is try to work with a travel consultant rather than trying to make all the travel arrangements on your own, because it is much easier to work with a travel professional than to manage everything on your own, especially when you're dealing with a country where you have not personally visited before, and then try to involve students in the planning process by getting their inputs, because ultimately the goal is this should be an enriching experience for the students. So, and have regular meetings with once you have finalized the group, have regular meetings, make sure the students pay the payment that they need to make on time, and then finalize everything. Try to finalize it well before the departure date, and then be willing to make changes if needed. And while on the ground in the foreign country, be very flexible to make changes to the program as the tour progresses.
Can you tell me a little bit about how much input students gave in the planning of the tour?
Yes, initially we did not have a plan to visit Cartagena, but then some of the students felt that we should try to include it. So I was able to incorporate Cartagena into the study tour, because Cartagena is a very historic city. It's the colonial capital of Colombia. So I think adding that was a very good initiative, and I appreciate the input from the students. And then the students had some other suggestions about the overall program, so I was able to tweak the program to satisfy the desires of the students.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rao, for joining us today and talking about the Colombia study tour. It was a great success for you.
Thank you very much. And one other thing I would like to say is that make sure that you build in some time when the students can do some exploration on their own. The program should not be so hectic that they don't have some time to look around the city, meet with people, and kind of experience the culture on their own. So you need to plan for that. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts on the Colombia study tour. I'm really happy that this tour was a complete success and an enriching experience for all the students and for myself.
Thank you, Dr. Rao.
Thank you very much.